At the College of Dupage, a student begins as a BNA, which is a basic nurse assistant. They go on to pass a course, qualified to take the competency exam at the state, become certified as a CNA, and for many it is a stepping stone onto nursing, the profession, and to go into a nursing program, quite like the one we have at College of Dupage, the Associate Degree Nursing Program. Our program goes above and beyond what is required by the Illinois Department of Public Health. Our curriculum is intense. Our students who are successful in our program are also successful in taking the state exam. Over 96% of our students are passing our state exam and do well.
I enjoyed the entire program. I thought it really gave me some great experience. I loved the clinicals that were provided, and it really did give me an idea of what I'm about to step into. So my end goal is actually to become a registered nurse. I started the BNA program, and now I'm able to have a job as a patient care technician at Edward Hospital, and from there I'm definitely hoping to gain a registered nurse position there after I complete the nursing program at College of Dupage.
I'm currently in the basic nursing assistant program to become a certified nursing assistant, and I really want to do that because I've always considered myself to be a compassionate and empathetic person. I really thought that this career path would utilize those skills. I did investigate other choices, and there are all kinds of programs available for people who want to study this, but College of Dupage is very accessible. They have a lot of different campuses, and financially it makes the most sense.
I am an international student, and I came to the States to pursue my life goal, and it is to become a nurse. I decided to come to College of DuPage because I read a lot of stories, good stories, and I saw that you have a good nursing program, and I decided to try it here first. I'm really enjoying it, and I think that I've gained a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge.
Well, the quality was excellent. The lab itself was, to me, felt like a real nursing facility setting. You were able to practice and using your skills, and by the time we had gotten to clinicals, I felt like I was very familiar with this. It wasn't like a foreign thing to me.
Well, BNA is really just the term that we use here at the college to refer to the students who are in our program. So it really is the CNA who goes out after they've been successful in our program, and they are the eyes and ears for the nurses, so it is part of a team effort. They are using their knowledge to provide comfort and care to their patients. They are using their skill set so that they can make good observations of their patients, provide quality care, safe care, provide infection control measures. And so our nursing assistants are very well prepared once they are finished with our program.
We've hired CNAs that came through the College of DuPage program, and I was very impressed with the quality of their professionalism, their skill sets. They felt comfortable in these real life situations in taking care of our clients with these personal care needs.
It was almost like a calling. It just came over me, and I wanted to go back to school to become a nurse.
My life goal is to become a good nurse and gain a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge.
Nursing is the most worthwhile occupation. I think if you want to reach out to people and help take care of each other, that's kind of why we're here.
You know, I've been in the hospital before, and I had great nurses, and they were an inspiration to me.
I feel like it's just so rewarding, and even in the 8-week clinical that we had at COD, it was just beyond rewarding. It's something that we're doing good things and helping people and giving quality care.
The Underground Railroad was a network of people who helped those who were enslaved escape from the South and get to freedom, either in northern states where slavery was illegal or at least less legal, or all the way to Canada. This network grew and more people became active in it in the 1850s after the Fugitive Slave Act was passed in 1850, which made it legal for slave catchers to come into the northern states and capture people who they claimed were runaways, including many people who had never been enslaved.
It's not surprising that there's Underground Railroad activity in Dupage County because of the nature of the settlement of Dupage County is largely coming from New England and from upstate New York, which is full of a lot of reformers. And that's one of the things they're trying to end is slavery in the United States. So they're bringing that ideology and they're just transporting it here to Northern Illinois. You do have an area in Dupage County with those early settlers who are going to be more sympathetic to anti-slavery.
Chicago was the terminus of most Illinois Underground Railroad routes. And really the roads leading to Chicago looked almost like spokes in a wheel. And of course it was en route to Chicago that freedom seekers came through Dupage County.
Dupage County was often a pathway that a lot of people would take to get from Southern Illinois into Chicago. It's not too far from the Illinois River. The Dupage River was also a body of water that people followed. And also, there were a lot of major roads that went through Dupage County.
As you're traveling through Dupage County, there are sites that are verifiable sites on the Underground Railroad. And those include Wheaton College, or what was originally called the Illinois Institute. The Illinois Institute is actually founded by John Cross, who is one of the leaders of the Underground Railroad.
The Thomas Filer house in Glen Ellen. But Filer's house had a tunnel from the barn to the house. And so if slave catchers came knocking on the door, if freedom seekers were hiding in the house, they could, scoot down through the tunnel and into the barn or vice versa.
And the Strong House in Naperville. The Philo Carpenter house in Warrenville, and the Sheldon Peck Homestead in Lombard, who was a portrait painter. He traveled all over Illinois, actually, with his portrait painting business. And he was an active abolitionist and a conductor on the Underground Railroad. And his home still stands today. Also, another conductor Sheldon Peck worked with was also a freedom seeker himself. This was an enslaved person named Old Charlie, who actually lived with Sheldon Peck in Lombard for a number of years before the Civil War. Old Charlie was all over Illinois, helping other freedom seekers on their way to freedom as well. His story is absolutely riveting and well worth a visit to the Sheldon Peck Homestead in Lombard.
We know that the Blodgett House in Downers Grove was a spot where Underground Railroad activity happened. The Blodgett family all took on different roles in operating their Underground Railroad station at their house. Israel, the father, he was in charge of transporting the enslaved people. Avis Blodgett, the mother, was in charge of kind of providing for them, giving them food and clothing, giving them a place to sleep.
And one time there was a slave catcher on a horse and had two enslaved Africans tethered behind his horse.
And so this man came up to the farm and he asked Avis Blodgett, "Can I have a drink of water?"
And she went and got water and brought it back. But she gave it to the men and told the slave catcher he was free and he could go get his own water.
Really, this incident kind of shows kind of her courage and kind of her conviction of that the idea that slavery was wrong and it should be abolished. Because the Underground Railroad was an illegal activity, there weren't a lot of records kept at all. And so what historians have to do to learn about Underground Railroad sites and places is to kind of go through what little evidence was left behind.
The Growing Mill is a site. John Coe, who is the local blacksmith used to bring freedom seekers to the Growy Mill.
Some other sites really need more exploration by historians to really verify their activity.
I think a person living in Dupage County now really would just have such a sense of place, it would just be so meaningful to know that as they go down Ogden Avenue or Lake Street or catch the Metro train into Chicago or hike along the Dupage River, they're retracing routes of the historic Underground Railroad.
It can sometimes feel like the systems that we're presented with, which can be obviously unjust, are inevitable. And it took the bravery of small groups of people who were tiny minorities at first, to come up against slavery and to start the fight that did eventually lead to its overthrow. So today, when we're confronted with systems of injustice that seem much bigger than us, I think it's really important to understand that small groups of people, individuals, standing up against those things that we find to be intolerable can make a difference, even if it's just one or two of us at first.
Welcome to 2021 Black History Month at the College of Dupage. We celebrate the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. As with most events now, we celebrate virtually this year. Today we showcase our taste of history with the COD Culinary Department.
The role food plays in building, educating, and nourishing communities and families is notable. Everybody needs to keep in touch with their ancestors, and through food is one of the best ways to get close. We have used the skills of our mothers or grandmothers, followed family recipes, or grew up cooking right next to mom.
And for the last 7 years, Black History Month brought you cuisines that are prepared and enjoyed here at home. COD chef Tim Myers will prepare cuisine for our celebration of Taste of History. The best part, you can join in on the fun. If you have not already downloaded the recipe, you can find the recipes on the Center for Student Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Black History Month webpage.
If you are ready, pull out your pots, pans, and utensils to cook along with Tim. If you have any questions along the way, we have a live chat available for you to ask your questions. And now, Taste of History.
Hello everyone. My name is Tim Myers and I am the Division Chair of the Arts, Communication, and Hospitality Program. In celebration of Black History Month today, we'll be making 2 dishes, jerk chicken and rice and beans. The first dish we're going to make today is the side dish to accompany the jerk chicken, rice and beans. What we're going to do, we have our ingredients of kidney beans, onion, scallion, ginger and garlic, our white rice, some fresh thyme, some coconut milk, and some water. And what I've done in advance to make the cooking time a little bit easier is to soak the beans. I have soaked the red beans, and by all means, if you want to save some time, you can purchase a can of light red kidney beans for ease. So the first step in this process, we're going to take our water, and I have 3 cups of water to 1 cup of pre-soaked light red kidney beans. we've added our water, and we are going to boil the beans until they soften up and are tender, which will take approximately 45 minutes. However, I am also going to add several ingredients to enhance the flavor of the beans for this cook time. I'm going to add some onion, some scallion, some garlic and ginger, some allspice berry, and my fresh thyme. We're going to bring this to a boil, and once again, we will allow it to cook for approximately 30 to 45 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to start to prepare the jerk chicken. So, jerk chicken has a history dating back several hundreds of years, where jerk was actually invented by the Tao people of the Caribbean islands. So, the Tao people taught African slaves, when slaves were on the Caribbean islands, the process of jerk. And the term jerk means a hot and spicy kind of seasoning, where the cooking process is typically over hot coals, and it's a low and slow process. So we can jerk a lot of different things. We can do fish, we can do goat, we can do chicken, we can do beef, and traditionally in Caribbean cooking, chicken and goat are very popular for the jerk seasoning style. So what I have here is brown sugar, scallion, soy sauce, thyme, dried allspice, nutmeg, cinnamon, Scotch bonnet, and garlic. So for the Scotch bonnet, and depending upon the heat, and the reason why the Caribbean culture and the African culture have spicy foods is because due to the lack of air conditioning. Typically what happens is cultures eat spicy food as their natural body's way of cooling them off. So it does act as air conditioning. So we can increase or decrease, I'll say, our personal air conditioning mode, if you will, by adding more Scotch bonnet or less Scotch bonnet, depending upon how hot and spicy you like this dish to be. So what I'm going to do with the Scotch bonnet is I am going to cut it up. And I recommend wearing a pair of rubber gloves because the capsaicin in a Scotch bonnet pepper is extremely hot and it could be irritating to the skin. The hotter the pepper, the more sensitive or irritated our skin can become. And one of the challenges with working with hot peppers is we don't want to rub it on our eye. So that is why I recommend wearing rubber gloves. So the next step, I'm going to take my Scotch bonnet, make some slices, and I'm going to mince this really, really fine. And where a lot of the heat is actually in the pepper is within the seeds. So I wouldn't add the seeds. The outside of the pepper itself is going to have a lot of heat. So we're going to slice these up nice and small. And they don't have to be sliced perfectly, as we're going to place all of this into a blender to create the marinade. By all means, if you don't have a blender, then you can mince it up really, really fine and incorporate it into the bowl for the marinade. So the next step in the process. Take our peppers, our garlic, and our spices. Thyme. Soy sauce, scallion, save a couple for garnish, a little brown sugar, and our brown sugar. Okay. We're going to lock it into our blender. A couple quick pulses. It's going to get a little noisy. So this has formed a really nice paste. So that is what's going to coat our chicken and also give it the richness and the flavor. One thing is we marinate it, which we will do right now. For the marinating process, I recommend marinating the chicken for at least an hour. That would be the minimum, if not overnight. The longer you can marinate the chicken, the more depth of flavor that it's going to have. Since I have gloves on, I can toss it nice and neat. So, and after we marinate this, since we'll leave it marinate for an hour or a little bit longer, depending upon your desired time, it's definitely something that I would put in the fridge. I would cover this with saran wrap into the fridge. Perhaps I would go light my grill. And or in this case, since it's cold out today, we'll be roasting it in the oven. It smells wonderful. So there's a lot of earth notes in here with the cinnamon and the allspice and the nutmeg. And then the garlic has a nice sweet note to it. And then also too, with the pepper, that's gonna give you your heat. The brown sugar is gonna act as kind of the cooling, if you will. So it's gonna help caramelize the skin really, really nice and also sweeten it. So as you start to get this heat note, the sugar is gonna kick in and start to calm everything down. Okay. In the meantime, my beans have been cooking for approximately 30 minutes. They're soft and they're tender. So at this point, I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. Now I'm going to add my rice. And this is 2 cups of rice and 13.5 ounces of coconut milk. Give this a nice little stir. So we're going to let the rice cook for approximately 30 minutes. We're going to bring it up to a boil. The starch from the rice is going to start to release and it will start to naturally thicken the rice. We do not want to stir the rice as it comes to a boil. And we're going to turn it down to a simmer, cover it up, and like I said, we'll give it 30 minutes. In the meantime, my chicken's been marinating and I'm now ready to roast it in the oven. I'm going to take my rack and my chicken. We're going to place it skin side up on this rack. If you don't have a rack at home, you can make a rack out of aluminum foil. And just kind of roll up 2 pieces of foil and set the chicken directly on the foil. Or if you have a cast iron pan, you can cook it directly in a cast iron pan. Now at this point, we're going to take the chicken. It's going to go into a 400-degree oven. So my rice is now simmering, which will take 30 minutes. Our goal is to time the rice being complete with the chicken being complete in the oven. The chicken's going to cook to an internal temperature of 165 degrees. And if I'm doing this at home in the oven, I could use a thermometer to gauge the temperature, or another great indicator of when the chicken is done is that the juices run clear. So you could take a fork or a knife and just press on the chicken's skin or the chicken itself as a whole, and those juices should run clear. If they're pink, you know that that's a great indicator to inform you that the chicken needs a little bit longer to cook. One of the things that you also need to be aware of when cooking the chicken is there's a lot of sugar in that dish, and in the marinade. So It's going to caramelize a little bit in the oven, which is great. It may caramelize a little bit on the bottom of your pan, which is fine. But also too, we don't want to make sure that sugar starts to burn. If it does burn a little bit, it'll impart a bitter note into your chicken, which might not be as a desired outcome if one was looking for. So now, my rice is complete. I've seasoned my rice with a little bit of salt and pepper. And it's ready to go, and I have chicken is done as well. Smells delicious. It's a nice golden brown caramelization of that sugar, the skin. Okay, now for the plate up. What we're gonna do is take a little bit of our rice and beans. Right in the middle of the plate without making a mess. A little bit of rice on the plate. Then we'll take our jerk chicken. Nice thigh. Leg. I prefer the dark meat as there's a lot more fat and richness in the leg and thigh due to the muscle being worked, as opposed to the chicken breast, but they're both equally delicious. A little pop of micro cilantro just for a little bit of color. And there you have it. A little jerk chicken with some red beans and rice. Enjoy. Thank you.